Hey, I'm Dr. Pilet, and today we're going to be talking about creating desire. The desire I'm talking about is that decision that you've made in yourself that you want to be someplace else than where you are, because where you are is not satisfying. You know, I think you've heard me speak before about the number one enemy that all of us have is stagnation. Stagnation, when the environment we're in is the same old, same old. It's mechanical. It's predictable. You know, in the world of business, the standard hallmark for business practices is a business has to grow 10% every year for it to stay in business, for it to function. We say, well, why is that? You know, I own this building. I've got people that work for me. I've got, televisions and computers. They wear out. I mean, the truth is your business is perishable. It's always eroding. It's always erasing. So you have to have some positive input just to break even. Let's talk about desire. Let's talk about those of us that have made the decision we need to be in a better place. And possibly you've found yourself in that place because there is none of that 10% gain. You don't have the input of positive energy. You don't have the encouragement. Last week I talked about anticipated positive events and motivation. And what happens when, of course, we get stuck in this life that's ritualistic, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, is just the same way as get the kids home from school, get the homework done, get the laundry done, get the groceries done. And after a while, you start to feel like, is this life that I'm living, is this really what I want it to be? And yet the truth is, we have often taken backstage and not realized that we no longer are energized by change. And I think change is a necessary element of all of our lives. But to have change, you got to have desire. So it's not unusual for me to do one of these, personal growth seminars and somebody says, I'm here and this is great, but I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to go. To begin working on that, you have to work on this idea of the elements to the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual portions of bringing about desire. Now, if I were to ask you, have you ever met a businessman that was pessimistic? A successful businessman that was pessimistic? Most of you are going to say, oh, no. So when we begin the notion that an optimist in business tends to be more successful than a pessimist in business, you start to say, well, that's common sense and logic. Well, what if, in fact, your business is you? Your life, your kids, the way you interact with the people around you, your friends, your parents. And what if on a daily basis you allow yourself to get into that negative circular talk about everything that's going wrong? Gosh forbid you're watching television, and when you watch television, what you find out? That somebody got murdered 2,200 miles from here. And you begin to believe that your neighborhood is as tragic as the neighborhood you just saw. And so now I start to say to you, you've got to start eliminating this negative energy. And as you start eliminating negative energy, you've got to start eliminating all the inputs, not just the media, but if you have family members and friends that do nothing but talk about what's broken in their lives, you've got to start to say, wait a second, I've got to push that back. And I'm going to ask you to take a look at the privateness of your own life. You're going to see behind me, I've got pictures. You know what's nice about pictures? One picture says 1,000 words. And as you walk through my clinic, you'll see that I'm very precise in showing you pictures of my family. Very precise for you to see smiling faces. You know, it's interesting, and I'm sure you heard this, a picture's worth 1,000 words. I mean, you see someone that's smiling and laughing, or you see something on television, and you're left with an emotion. And if I were to ask you what was that emotion in somebody else, that emotion usually is triggered by some backward-looking experience you've had in life. If you giggle and you laugh, you're giggling and laugh because you giggled and laughed when something like that happened 5 years ago. And we're not only activating new information, we're reactivating pleasant memories from your past experiences. So number one, when you start to think about creating desire, I want you to go to your house. I want you to think about pictures that reflect you, your family, and every experience in life that puts you at your best. And I want you to have those all around. You know, my mom and dad died at 92 years old. 92 years old. And about 5 years prior to that event, I'm sorry that they were dearly loved and they are missed. But I brought them out on a cruise for their 70th anniversary. I had a poster done. Of them together, mom and dad. We called my mom Hun. Got it framed. And after we came back from that, and they were in the nursing home, I took that picture and put it in their room, in the nursing home. Everybody that waited or served my mom and dad were left with a lifelong impression that changed like that once they saw Evelyn and AJ, 7 years marriage. That one picture introduced a new concept for this lovely couple that no one would have known anything about because it triggered in them some wonderful thoughts about their own heritage, their own families, and precipitated a positive event that truly wouldn't have been there. Now think about that. Because you know what? I really thought that I would grieve every time I saw that poster. I have it in my house. And you know, I don't. Because it brings to joy the life they had. And it brings to joy the experience of reliving the mom and dad I still miss, but in a very positive way. See, that's called healing. Now, when I ask you to take that to a personal level, I'm telling you that I want you to start to begin the idea of putting things around you that bring about those wonderful positive memories. Remember I said, is it more likely for a businessman to be successful? Is he pessimistic or optimistic? See, you have to begin to create that fertile ground of optimism and positive thought processes. You have to get up in the morning and say, what up instead of what for. See, that's what happens when you get too negative. Oh, what for? Why go look for a job? Well, you know, there's no jobs out there. Did you see the unemployment's at 17%? What for? And when you soak yourself in the negative realities that really aren't your reality, but you generalize them into your personal life, you're not going to create any desire for change. And so when you begin to look at your life and say, what if? And you truthfully tell me, I don't know what I want to do. Well, I'm going to tell you where we start. We start by building a positive outlook on life. We start to look at the uniqueness of your personality and the uniqueness of you to know there's nobody else like you, and you truly have something unique and different if you want to take the time to investigate. We call that peeling the onion back. Because each of you in your heart knows that you've got some unique skill or destiny. We all do. I think we do. I think that is truly our spiritual intent on earth. Are we a human body living in a spiritual being or a spiritual being living in a human body? I can't answer that question. But I can tell you when people operate more efficiently. I can tell you when people make success. I can tell you when they come back to me and say, wow, that worked. And this is one of them. The beginning of the process, the physical part of it, is to begin to surround yourself with positive things. Now, if you want to take it to the next step, you start to explore yourself. Years and years, a book was written by Maxwell Maltz called Psycho-Cybernetics. The story of a plastic surgeon that performed plastic surgery and took people that were not very pretty and turned them to wonderful, facially pleasing human beings. But his struggle was, I did this beautiful work, and now they're gorgeous, but their self-concept, even though they all looked in the mirror and saw somebody saw someone that was gorgeous, they didn't see it because their self-concept, their self-image was wired. Right? What you think about, you bring about. Optimism brings opportunity. Why? I can't explain it. Sometimes Carrie and I call it angel play. That when I start to seek something and I begin to talk and think about it and share it with others, whatever that one item is, and it might be something about, I really would like to find a new opportunity. You know, Carrie will talk to you about how she feels like she got to a dead end in her career. She says, I'm looking for opportunity. And then we begin to think and manifest what this might look like. We begin to think positively about the school experiences, the job she has, the people she knows, and as she has that self-outlook, she begins to radiate positive energy, and all of a sudden somebody's saying, hey, do you want to come work for me? I've got something that I think you'd really like. Well, did that come about because she read a newspaper? Or did it come about because she began to feel the positive energy in her life, promote the possibilities of what if, and people felt it? Sometimes we call that intuition. Intuition. You ever think about how that works? Where sometimes you're processing what you might want in your life, and it's like, oh, wait, I know exactly where that is. You see, to have intuition, you have to have freedom of thought. And you have to have freedom of thought, you've got to have positive possibilities all around you. You've got to look at life like it's an opportunity, not like a dead end. So the first step is, of course, to surround yourself with positive environment in your house. You begin to eliminate negative people, push them back. You're not going to carry any conversations with people that are negative, dead-ended. Not going to do that. Why? Because you get it like a virus. They infect you. My hand right now. I touch that cup. You touch that cup. You touch your face. Guess what you got? The bug. So you stay away from people with the bug, the negative naysayers. And that can be family, and it can be friends, but only you have to make that justification. You're the one that have to make that decision. And then you begin to think about what if. You start to look at yourself. You inventory who you are. Your age, your schooling, your education. What are the things that interest you? Maxwell Maltz, again, wonderful book written on how do you get to find yourself? And begin by, if you will, asking people to make lists of things that they've never done. Expose yourself to new activities, new ideas. Because every time you expose yourself to something new, as innocuous as it is, as ordinary as it may seem, your brain broadens in its self-perspective and you widen your possibilities. Doesn't matter if I'm playing tennis, I've never played tennis before. Doesn't matter if I'm going hiking or biking or fishing. Doesn't matter what it is. Every time you expose yourself to something new and you push back the negative people, your personality grows one little smidgen. And then one day you get to experience something which I think is wonderful. Synergism. Synergism. A lot of times Carrie and I are working to create these materials, and we do it synergistically. 1 + 1 is, except when you're with a synergistic person, because it's 1 + 1 = 1 + 1 plus maybe a 10. So it's 2.2, 2.1. Got to do the math, right? Well, how does that happen? So here I am talking to my partner about something we want to create. And as we both are really pushing the limits of our brainstorming activities, and I know you've done this, then between the two of you, you come up with an idea. It's not yours, it's not mine, but it was precipitated by the energy of us together. We found a solution. You ever hear of a think tank? Well, if it didn't work, there would be none. I mean, that's what creativity is all about, putting yourself with someone where 1 + 1 is equal to 2 and a little bit. Why? The little bit is the idea that neither one of you would have had without each other. And so now we begin to look at that idea of my physical environment, the friends that I'm in touch with, etc. And now I got to move you a little bit to one thing that's more dear and near to all of us, the physical body, you. All that crappy sugar you're doing with the 20-ounce soda, read it, look at the label, 20-ounce soda. Look at the number of grams. 4 sodas a day is almost a half a pound of sugar. Your body is nothing. Your body's running on gas and no oil. No lubricant. You wonder why you can't sleep. You wonder why you ache and why? Because the hydrochloric peptide in your stomach is being run by pure energy, no vitamins, no minerals. Oh, by the way, yes, back years ago when sailors, hundreds of years ago, were coming from Europe to the United States, they would suffer and possibly die from scurvy. Y'all know what that is? Scurvy? A lack of vitamin C. See, they didn't have fresh fruit. That one vitamin C, that one simple vitamin that wasn't in their diet, and they would be so deadly ill until somebody figured out that oranges, you can put them in a big basket and drag them with you. We didn't know about medicine. But all of a sudden, we're eating oranges, and we don't have sailors dying of scurvy because they ate salt pork and salt fish and all protein, some potatoes, but they didn't have vitamin C. Think about your body. Think about the crap you put in it every day. When you go buy, fries that are, boiled in oil? And then take a French fry, put it between 2 napkins and squeeze it. See what that horrific event looks like. So we have to start to clean up our act. Now, I'm not just talking about vitamins. I'm talking about protein. I'm talking about those things that you can add into your life. Why? Because when I take a protein shake that's got vitamins and minerals in it, your absorption is like 90% or more. And all those wonderful nutrients go right into your body. And guess all of a sudden, I'm not forgetful. I'm maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, but man, my recall is like that, And when I'm talking to people, I'm amazed at myself as I'm quick-witted and have more humor. I'm more positive. I'm not depressed. And so when you start to take on your body and you start to say, well, maybe I got to cut back on my smoking. Maybe I got to cut back on alcohol. Maybe I got to cut back on all these poor eating habits of fried food and pizza and whatever. But I start to add to it the value added of nutrition. Why? I've taken my environment, We talked about that, the pictures, my friends. I began to turn them positive. I've also begun to explore new ideas, new things to do that I've never done before to broaden my horizons, seeing, meet more people, having more fun. Remember, optimists, what has the highest possibility of being successful? Pessimist or optimist? Whoa, I'm shifting to an optimistic environment. I talked to you a little bit earlier about it's not the problem I'm worried about, it's the solution. Quit arguing about who did it. That's optimism. Optimism. Solutions. More solutions than problems. Remember the two qualities of life we all battle with? Pain, pleasure. When my problem solving is strictly related to eliminating pain, guess what has to increase? Say it louder. Pleasure. Wow, I did that to myself. I'm not a hamster or a guinea pig in a cage. I'm beginning to control my environment. I'm taking the door down. I'm getting out of this cage. And I'm getting out of this cage because I'm opening myself up to a bigger global world that gives me more positive input. And now I'm starting to take some degree responsibility for my eating habits. I'm starting to look at exercise. There's a book by Colbert Bailey called Fit or Fat. Read it. What he found out by studying athletes, high performance professional athletes, is you can get to a high level of health by 12 minutes a day. The more unhealthy you are, the easier it is to get the byproduct of neurotransmitters. So you don't have to go to the gym and say, oh my God, I don't want to do this because I need to work out for 2 hours to look how awful shape I am. You got to go to the gym and say, can I finish 12 minutes? Physiology, blood tests, etc. The more unhealthy you are, the easier it is to get that shot of dopamine. And that's all you want when you first begin, right? So now I'm working on the body, the mind, the emotions. Now we talk about spirituality. Now look, every time I give you guys a lecture, and it may be 20, 25 minutes, I want you to know that each one of these topics, whether it be the mind, the body, it takes a lot more work than what I'm giving you. But if I can get you, get your taste buds going. I want to taste more of that. Okay, that's what this is about. Because I believe in spirituality. A lot of people hit me with one answer or the other answer, and I can only tell you my answer right now. And it is to ask you a question. See, my mom was a devout Catholic, always praying. And I said, Mom, do you realize that prayer is a request to a dimension outside the one you live in to affect the one you live in? She never thought about that. Whoa, it's a request outside. Now, I'm not talking about does Area 51 exist? I'm not talking about are there spacecraft outside at nighttime that we don't see because there's stealth. I'm talking about the innate desire that all of us have to ask some dimension outside where I am, so please, can you affect this one? And you all know through personal experiences, when I'm sitting here praying for help, the guy next to me does go, oh, I got it. It isn't embodied in a physical recognition that we can see it around us. But haven't you noticed that sometimes when you begin to think about something you really would like, near and dear to your heart, and would become positive and motivated and ready to receive, how all of a sudden, and it happened to all of us, where someone that you didn't really know was there has a conversation that you didn't expect, and it's like, oh my God, I got the answer. And I'm going to tell you, if you work hard, like I'm asking you to do, to get your mind and your body into that place where you can radiate that energy and be receptive to that energy, you're going to find it happens more. Now, if I didn't believe it, I wouldn't be telling you, because in an expression of my life, we call it angel play. And the sheer vastness of all the wonderful things that have happened to Carrie and to I, mainly because we do everything I'm telling you about. Before we got here this morning, had a nice protein shake. Sounds crazy, but I'm trying to get those nutrients in my body. I want to get that health. Help my human body be as healthy as possible. Yeah, it's true. Genetically, you have a mom and your dad, and one may have diabetes, and the other may have some other malfunction, but it doesn't mean you have to suffer from it. You have to make that decision to overcome those obstacles. But you make the decision to overcome those obstacles through awareness. Now we're back to where I started from. Now that I've overcome the obstacles of genetics and the family environment that I was taught, remember you spend the first 20 years being who you've been taught to be, and you spend the rest of your life being who you decided to be. What is that about? Isn't that what this whole discussion is? Who have you decided to be? I started off with saying desire. How do you create desire? If you don't create desire in yourself to be at some different place, then you don't have anxiety. And what is anxiety? It's your genetic wiring to get off your butt and start doing something. And understand, a lot of times we don't start doing something because we never took the time to find out there was something worth doing about. But if you don't realize where this whole conversation started, which is each of you has a destiny, and if you're not too careful and you allow yourself to become a passive participant in your life, instead of asking what if, say what for. If you begin to think that the conditioning of your day-to-day activities are limited to just the structure, the family, the job, and all those things around you that put you in that cage, then you failed. I believe you failed. Because I think these are the tools you should be using to open the door to investigating who you are. You work on the physical, creating an optimistic, positive environment. You work on the emotional. Emotional is meditation. Meditation. People think meditation is for me to sit in a chair and go, oh, or sit under a tree and just be quiet. And I'm going to be frank with you, that's not what it is. If you want to investigate a little bit further, you might look up Kelly Howell on the internet, Kelly Howell, internet. Meditation. My brain is an electrical device, and that electrical device right now is functioning at a brain wave frequency. And you know what we know about the brain? As I can measure the brain wave frequency, I can tell how deep you are. Remember prayer? Request outside to affect inside. What's the quality of the radiation? What's the quality of your signal? What's the quality of your request? Are all requests given? No. And I think your ability to get out there in a positive way, to live it and walk the walk, and to find yourself in that position to make that communication out there is directly related to your ability to meditate. To meditate, to get quiet. When I get quiet and I think about all that's going good in my life, and I restrain myself from even remotely considering all the negative in life around me, and as I breathe and feel that I am ready to receive the message, and I put myself in that place, that very contemplative, meditative place. You know, we can tell through brainwave activity that, oh, look at this. The brain's settling down. You ever turn to a radio station and there's music back there, but the music's coming through with... It's an unclear signal. And if the signal is unclear, you go to another radio station. What about your signal? You tell me you want to pray. You tell me you want to manifest. You tell me you want to be optimistic. You tell me you want to be what if. What about the signal? What about the question? I mean, is the question truly related to your self-development and self-growth? That's what this is about. But once you find through desire that you found something you want to focus on, then all of a sudden you're going to find that you're hitting the target more and more. I watched a video the other day of this guy that was outrageously precise on throwing a football. And he had a football and he had 5 targets and there were 50 yards. And he threw the football and they had a camera that was a high-speed camera to show that in each of the 5 throws, he was within 2 inches of a bullseye, didn't miss one. How did he get that good? And he's talking to the commentator about, man, before I throw the ball, I see it. Not unusual for me there to be in my house. I'm not doing anything, just going through it. Memory, muscle memory. Wow, muscle memory. Do you see yourself being successful? I mean, truly, is it restricted just to target with a ball? Baseball, football? Or is it more global? Is there a bigger mystery here? Did all those guys get to the top just because they knew somebody? Did all those guys that own the Fortune 500 companies, the guys around here, the business owners, did they just get that because it fell in their lap? Or did their individual successes came because they knew they wanted it, they made a decision to pursue it, and they stuck to it? But how many businesses go broke like that? You see them come and go, come and go. Why? Because the clarity and purity of their requests, they were sad. They made some marginal success and then it fell apart. This won't fall apart, guys. When you start to do these kind of things that I'm asking you to do, and you find that desire that you truly want, I can tell you years ago, when Carrie and I were coming off active duty in the military, she truly hit me with, I don't know where I want to go. Where? You see her. She speaks here. One of our best speakers. And I helped her work through that. I said, you know what we got to do? We've got to sort of broaden your perspectives. Ask questions. Well, she was a nurse at the time, RN. What schools offer advanced degrees? So just the research to find the schools and just to talk to the schools started to seed a desire to pick a school. The seed of desire to pick the school was started through investigation. Oh my gosh, Gordy, look at the money. How can this ever be? Positive. Breathe into it. If it's meant to be. All of a sudden, they awarded her fellowship by application only. $10,000 a year tax-free. Then the reserve unit stepped up to the plate and paid her a stipend, $1,100 a month, to go on the drill 1 weekend a month. And then all of a sudden, public health stepped up and said, guess what? If you're working on this type of degree at this time, and at this place and time, we need these types of people, we pay all your tuition. I'm giving you this a personal example of just this, but I work with people every day that give me the same types of prosperity because they made the decision to say, what if? About the conversation with the guy that wants to start that kind of business but didn't have the energy nor the time. And the family member that had the extra money left over from selling the house that wanted to give me an investment. See, these are true stories, and they actually happen to each of us. But it requires us to at least acknowledge the possibilities of life. And the desire that you have will be directly related to the work you perform to investigate the notion of, I don't know where I am, but I want to be someplace else. And everybody can relate to that. I called it stagnation where I started. Give some thought to these ideas about surrounding yourself with positive people, positive pictures, inspirational slogans. Give some thought to working on your body to get rid of all these toxins. Improve your health through exercise and through nutrition. And watch the precipitative event on your emotion and the way you radiate to the world around you. Give some idea to the spiritual nature of yourself as you just take the opportunity to say, maybe there is a signal that I'm radiating. What's it going to cost me if there's not? Maybe there's the possibility that I can do some of this and truly get out there and, hey, prayer, request a dimension, and then to get yourself into that place to be receptive to those signals. What's it going to cost you? Either you're going to walk in one day and say, Dr. Pilet, you are full of crap. Or you're going to walk in one day and say, whoa, this is scary. Well, after doing this for 20 years, you know how often I hear this is scary? About 95% of the time. Why? No, let's say 90% of the time. Give myself some wiggle room. Because there's some people that have such high stress levels and they can't seem to conquer this idea of solutions focus. Right? They refuse to stop drinking. They refuse to stop hanging around with negative people. And maybe now is not the time, but there will be. We'll all get to that point where we say, I'm ready for something else. I didn't listen then. I'm ready to listen now. We've all been there. I offer you this video. Please look at it. It's up there on my website. Please look at positive anticipation and motivation, which is one before this one. And then this one's about creating desire. It works. Give it a shot. I'm Dr. Pilet.